on the Cambridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to This Week in Ball State Sports, a Ball State Athletics podcast, highlighting the Cardinals athletics teams and administration each week. Presented by Cambridge. Here's the voice of the Cardinals, your host, Mick Tidrow.
Hey, Cardinal fans, welcome into This Week in Ball State Sports, Episode 5 of Season 2. Don't forget, you can ask questions. Email us at Ball State Sports Podcast. We have giveaways going on throughout the year for people who submit questions, a chance to win some Cardinal swag. You can also DM us at Ball State Sports on any social media platform, ask your questions, and we'll get to them throughout the course of the year on the show. We have a really fun show lined up this week. Ryan Hillenberg joins us as the Senior Associate AD for Compliance. He also oversees some sports here in our athletics department. Head Coach Micah Lewis for Ball State men's basketball, also joining the podcast, and Coach Mike New over at football joins us to preview James Madison and talk about the last couple of weeks there. First and foremost, though, Ryan, welcome to the show and really appreciate you joining us this year.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Mick. I appreciate it.
So, Ryan, as the Senior Associate Athletics Director for Compliance, we'll get into all of that, but how did you get into this role? How did you choose this path for your life?
Yeah, great question. So I'm actually a Ball State grad, 2008. Originally thought that I wanted to get into media relations. And as it happened, discovered that that wasn't necessarily the path for me. I wanted something a little bit more administrative in nature, giving myself the chance to impact and help all of the programs, work with all the coaches, really just have a chance to work in all areas of the department. So thankfully there was a position in grad school up at Purdue Fort Wayne where I was able to slide into the compliance unit and help out a 16-sport athletic department, kind of get my feet wet, and then the rest is history. Landed my first job out of college at Texas A&M, and then kind of worked through my career.
Where are you from?
So I'm from Delphi, Indiana, over in Purdue country, but the Boilermakers didn't take me. I came over to Ball State and had a great college career here.
So definitely good choice coming to Ball State first and foremost. Glad the Boilermakers didn't convince you to go to Purdue. But Ryan, when people hear compliance, I think people understand what it is. But from your perspective, how would you describe what compliance is?
Yeah, so I think we try to provide resources to our coaches and our athletes. We kind of come at it from a customer service standpoint. So we have a number of rules, obviously, that we have to follow and we have to educate on. So the basis of everything we do is informing and educating our coaches and our student athletes, but also instilling in them that it's a shared responsibility. So I think we've got a great department and the coaches are well informed. They're always asking questions, which makes every day interesting. You never know what you're going to get question-wise, but we try to make sure that we're all educated on what the rules are, how to follow them, what best practices are. And then if there's some troubleshooting we can do, if there's a scenario that comes up, we try to help the coaches through that. So, try to help the athletes in any way we can, of course. We track their initial eligibility, their continuing eligibility, just to make it as helpful a process as possible without being, overburdening on their time here.
So no one day is the same is what you're telling me.
That's absolutely correct. That's what keeps it interesting and fresh throughout the year. Now there's things that, are seasonal in nature, but every day is different. And it's really, I'm 15 years into the career and I still get up every morning and look forward to what the day has to bring.
What type of, on a day-to-day basis, what are you trying to do to support the coaches and make sure that they are informed about what they need to be doing with an NCAA compliance standpoint?
Yeah, so I think just, we get information daily a lot of times on what some rules changes are, what proposals are in the pipeline. So, sharing that information with the coaches, getting their take on it, kind of teeing them up for what might be coming. As you know, it's a very interesting time in college athletics, we'll say. There's a lot of things that could happen, a lot of things that have happened. So we just try to make sure that they're well informed about everything that's going on so that they're staying competitive. We try to, of course, make it as easy for them to do their job for compliance purposes as possible so they can do the coaching, they can do the recruiting, and they know how to do that permissibly so they're not ending up on the ticker for the wrong reasons. I always say we want to be on the ticker for the right reasons, right? For the championships we're winning, for the great things that we're doing. And the games we're winning, the great grades, and then the student athlete development piece is big. So those things, as long as we're doing those well, the rest kind of takes care of itself.
With all these changes that do happen in college athletics, that's something, like you said, you get daily information and input from the NCAA and people within that office. How often do you have to then talk to the coaches about all of this? Because you said sometimes it's a daily basis, but is it like, hey, I got to pick up the phone and call every single one of our coaches and make sure that they know this information?
It can be that. Also, whether it's we have a monthly compliance meeting where we will try to give them timely information about what's recent that's happened that they need to be tracking on, or if it's upcoming, how can we share things like that? So this time of year, we're talking about admissions. We're already looking at the next year's freshman class. We're talking about financial aid. How can we best package our financial aid with our academic resources here on campus to give student athletes the best overall package in the recruiting process? So, we've got the National Letter of Intent signing period coming up. So just having those preemptive conversations so that when it comes time for signing week, right, signing day, everyone's well informed. They know what they're supposed to be doing, how to do it, and we get the best student athletes in here we can.
How much do you have to continuously look up what the rules are for your own sake so that you know that you're giving the correct information with everything changing? Yeah,
absolutely. So it's a thing where I don't know all the rules. I will tell that to anybody, but I know where to find them, and you got to know how to use your resources, right? Use your network, use your resources. So there's a few that are burned in my brain, right, from different experiences throughout the last decade or so. But no, it's just a matter of knowing where to go for things, and if it's something that I haven't seen recently, making sure that the rule hasn't changed, or if there's ways that we can use a rule or a situation and kind of use it to our benefit in a permissible manner. However we can play that, to our student athletes and our coaches' benefit is the angle we're going to try to go with.
Ryan Hilleberg joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Ryan, we've talked a lot about your journey, the compliance office, and how everything works together in the department. But you have a team, you have some people with you that work in compliance. How do you all work together to make sure that you're on the same page?
So we've got a new director of compliance, Jared Neely. He comes to us from Southern Miss. He is going to be doing a lot of the initial eligibility stuff. So looking at transcript evaluations, playing and practice seasons, helping coaches set up their seasons and counting their practice days and all that, making sure that they've got the permissible number of games on their schedule. So he's kind of, 1A, compliance person 1A. He's doing a lot of the day-to-day stuff. We're so glad that he's joined us. And then we've also got a graduate assistant, Kate Vinson, who is formerly on the volleyball team here, who does a lot of the compliance stuff as needed, but also has been really instrumental in helping our student athlete advisory committee and our student development stuff. So she's helping us with facilitating some of those preparatory items for meetings. So whether that's agendas or helping with some different surveys or things for the student athletes and events, things like that. So she's been really helpful as well.
Ryan, you mentioned the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. That's something that you're heavily involved with. How is your role help oversee what SAAC does and move the needle there?
We've done a great job in that area. I feel like the last few years, it's been an area that was important to me to get involved with and to help the student athletes in areas outside of compliance. So I've really enjoyed taking on that role and helping that more holistic student athlete experience piece. So we've got a number of things that we do throughout the year, but SAAC has been a lot of fun. It's about 30 to 40 student athletes, representatives from all sports in the department. And really they're the student athlete voice, right? They get together and figure out things that are impacting student athletes, how they can best improve the experience. If there's something that we need to enhance or improve, we work on that. And then how can we reach out in the community? So the student athletes decided that this year their official community service partner was going to be the Muncie Mission. So that's really important to those student athletes, and the mission is very grateful for the athletes' heart and their passion for service. And there's a lot of things coming up that would love to highlight for all the Ball State fans out there. We've got the Women's Empowerment Weekend coming up September 27th, 29th, and I know, Mick, you'll talk more about that and some of our other promotions. And then we've got a food drive coming up in October, the 14th through the 24th. The winner of the food drive against Northern Illinois will be announced during the homecoming game. Mental Health Awareness Week is coming. We've got a guest speaker in Shaquem Griffin coming to talk to our student athletes that Monday. So we've got a lot of really exciting things coming up. And of course, the Chirper Treat is the November 1st weekend. So love to see the kids out there from the community, and the student athletes really enjoy getting in front of those kids and having fun with them before the volleyball game that weekend.
Ryan, what I love about the Student Athlete Advisory Committee is all of these initiatives that student athletes come up with. Everything that you just listed, they're so heavily involved with. How proud of that group are you and the department coming together and making these types of things happen?
It's really incredible to see, honestly. You know, we talk about the student athlete experience and their time commitment, and sometimes we forget that, you know, they're students first and foremost, because their day is just so incredibly full of things. They're always doing stuff, whether it's class, practice, you know, they're in the training room getting treatment. And then they have interests outside of their sport and their majors, right? So they're doing things in the community. We've had a number of stories of student athletes going out on their own and helping some of these, you know, community service organizations in the community. And it's really just neat to see that initiative from them. And I know we've got a number of programs that have done some really cool things in the community as well, whether it's Habitat for Humanity, or I know the Swim and Dive program just helped, I think it was clean the river. They cleaned up some of the trash and things and the litter. So it's just really great to see when they kind of step out of their identity as an athlete and into just being a member of the Muncie community. That's really awesome.
Well, Ryan, before we let you go here on This Week in Ball State Sports, is there anything you want Ball State fans to know about you personally, your role in compliance, or the Student Athlete Advisory Committee?
Yeah, I think just that we're trying to create a really holistic experience here for them. I think we've got a lot of great people in the department that are helping our student athletes really thrive. You know, we've got a great team around the teams, if you will, and it's just really neat to see our academic records are off the charts. The team is performing in every way imaginable. It's just really awesome to see our Ball State student athletes thriving. So thank you.
Of course, Ryan. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mick.
That's Ryan Hillenberg joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Coming up, head coach Mike New and Michael Lewis next on the pod.
Fly, Cardinals, fly.
And he has open daylight. Braden Sloan scoots in for an exclamation mark.
Every play, every touchdown, every Cardinal win is here. We fly with the Cardinals all season long. The Cardinals have a road test at James Madison. Join us Saturday, September 28th. Our coverage begins at 12:30.
Welcome back inside to This Week in Ball State Sports. Ball State football head coach Mike New joining us here on the show. Coach, appreciate your time as always here on a Monday afternoon.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
So, Coach, just looking in the rearview mirror real fast to the Central Michigan game, when you walked away from that, what were your overall thoughts?
Well, obviously, as soon as the game was over, tough way to end the game there. Obviously, you know, proud of the effort and the fight by our guys all the way to the end. Obviously, it's MAC football. You know, we've been in a lot of contests like that. This conference is full of contests like that week in, week out. You got to play 60 minutes. You got to execute at a high level, and so it hurt, but at the same time wanted to make sure our guys knew that, you know, we got a lot of football left here in front of us. We got to stick together here. There's no finger pointing. We got to get back to work. When you watch the tape, feel very confident that some of the mistakes that were happening are fixable. It's not like, you know, you can't go attack that. We're doing positive things when guys are doing their jobs. Their eyes were right. They're reading their keys. We're doing good things that way, and we just got to get back to that. Obviously, there's no loss of belief in anybody in the building here, and we got to move on to our next opponent, you know, James Madison, and there's, you know, obviously there was a lot of good tape to watch from Saturday's game, and we got to make corrections. That's you know, part of it, and continuing to preach that, you know, the next man's got to be ready to go. Injuries have happened to us. We've had our share here so far early in the season, but that's part of the battle, and you know, encouraging the next guy, man, you got to make sure you prepare yourself and get yourself ready to go.
You mentioned James Madison. We'll talk about them here in a few moments, Coach. But from that last offensive drive against Central Michigan, Caden engineered and the offensive 5-play, 97-yard drive in a minute. What did you see from him to be able to go down and do that?
Well, it starts with the first play of the drive. For him to connect on that first play of the drive when the corner squatted, he hit Keon in the hole right there. And, obviously Keon made a great catch. That got us started because when you can get some momentum like that to start the drive, then obviously then you can kind of control the tempo. And Caden just did a great job. He does a great job of just maintaining his poise. He's calm, cool, collected, does a great job of seeing the field. And he executed at a high level. We worked on it a lot throughout training camp. We work on it every single Wednesday where we go O versus D, and it's a competitive 2-minute drill. And it's just good to see his hard work paying off. Guys were making plays. Guys were making catches. Some of them were tough catches. And, you credit the guys on the receiving end of that and guys up front giving them a time to get that done. But it's pretty awesome when you can have 2 drives in the same game where you execute, 2-minute drives and touchdowns. That's hard to do. You can go study all the film you want, all the PFF film that you want, but it's pretty awesome to be able to execute 2 drives. I think that certainly, from a confidence standpoint, that can only help. But, again, everybody did a great job of doing their part, and, he just he led the way there with executing and leading the guys down the field in a very calming way, and we just went out there and executed. And that catch by Tanner where he was just simply not going to be denied. He was whatever it took to get himself in the end zone, so it was nice to see that.
Did you hold your breath a little bit when Tanner went airborne?
Always. When anytime I see a player that leaves his feet like that, I know they're all competitors, and you feel like you can jump over everybody. But obviously, as long as Tanner is and as big as he is, man, there was no way that he was going to be denied. And just great toughness and fight, and not be denied attitude.
The 2 drives, like you just mentioned, at the end of the first half, end of the second half to go down, score points. We've seen the confidence from Caden throughout his time at Ball State, but when you have 2 drives that go like that, when you're practicing that all the time, how does that just further instill more confidence into an offense and a quarterback?
Well, no question. Obviously, I think it's just a belief because when you get in 2 minutes, it's all about the operation because it's a stressful situation, end of the half, end of the game. It's always stressful, so sometimes there might be noise. Sometimes there might be other factors involved, but he did a great job, both of those drives, getting the first play of that drive started with a positive play. And so from that point, you can kind of control what the tempo is and how that's going to be played out. And he just did a great job. Did a great job with clock management, did a great job with, just running the show and making sure the communication was the way it needed to be. And it's a great, too, for him, that's his first conference game on the road. And so for him, and not really knowing what to expect, he's heard about it, but certainly he did a great job in doing his part.
How about that throw to Gilly in the corner for the touchdown? He dropped that into a bucket.
That was an unbelievable throw. I had no idea until I watched the tape that, I'd always seen that ledge there at Central Michigan over the years, man, and that was scary because that's about 5 yards off the edge of the field. And, Malcolm caught that thing. He was running full speed and made a great catch to be aware of where the back of the end zone was. But, man, his momentum took him into that, and that was scary because it was a tough fall right there. So I was obviously worried about that. But obviously, other than having a scraped up elbow right there, luckily we got out of that, and Malcolm got out of that without anything happening. So, but that was a great throw all the way from the far hash and dropping it in the back corner where only Malcolm could make a play on that.
Like redshirt freshmen are supposed to be able to make those throws.
I don't think I could ever make that throw. So it was awesome to see. I just, the confidence that he has, and, he locates the ball at such a high level, and he gives his guys a chance to go make a play. And, on the other end of it, guys did a great job of, when they had an opportunity, they did a great job of delivering, and that was a classic, case for Malcolm right there. There wasn't a whole lot of space, and there's a lot going through your head. You're running full speed. It's at the end of the drive. You're tired, but to have the awareness that he did, to make the catch the way that he did, and then finish it off was good.
Here with head coach Mike New on This Week in Ball State Sports. Coach, looking at James Madison, flip on that tape. They put up 70 points against North Carolina. How do you try to stop this offense?
Well, it starts, obviously, give them credit. That's a huge win on the road against a good football team in North Carolina. They got 5 turnovers in that game. They had early in the game, North Carolina's first possession, they had a fumble in the red zone when they were going in to score. They turned that into points. Then they had a block punt that they returned for a touchdown. On a kickoff, they hit the front line guy right in the chest, bounced off. They recovered it, had 2 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown. So when you turn the ball over that many times, obviously you're creating extra opportunities, and a couple of those, obviously they delivered touchdowns when they got the turnover. So it starts with that. Obviously we got to do a good job of cleaning up us. We've got 3 game films, James Madison to watch between North Carolina Gardner-Webb and North Carolina Charlotte. So we've had a great 2 days here, game planning, working hard, but also, too, part of our practice this week, part of our process will be continuing to clean up the things that we need to clean up on us. But, it starts with making sure we do a great job of taking care of the ball, and you can't lose a turnover battle like that and expect it to win games, and that's how that got lopsided so quick. Give James Madison credit for executing and doing a great job, but the turnover piece of it is key.
Their QB accounted for 7 touchdowns. What does he do well when you turn on the tape?
He had a great day throwing the football. Obviously, he's been with James Madison. This is his first full year now as a starter, but most attempts that he's had, and he did a great job executing on some down-the-field throws, some explosive plays that way. He also did a great job running the football. He's a guy that he can run when he can pull it in the open field. He's dangerous that way. So we got to have a good plan, make sure we do a good job of accounting for the quarterback and having a good plan that way. But he did a great job. He went out and executed, made some big throws, and they generated a lot of explosive plays for him.
Coach, we appreciate your time as always. We'll talk with you throughout the week, and good luck this week.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Fly, Cardinals, fly.
And he has open daylight. Braden Sloan scoots in for an exclamation mark.
Every play, every touchdown, every Cardinal win is here. We fly with the Cardinals all season long. The Cardinals have a road test at James Madison. Join us Saturday, September 28th. Our coverage begins at 12:30.
Hey, Cardinal fans, welcome back into This Week in Ball State Sports with head coach Micah Lewis. Hey, basketball season's only 41 days away, and we're getting excited for tip-off as Ball State opens the season on the road. But, Coach, really appreciate you taking some time and chatting some Cardinals hoops with us.
Well, I appreciate you having me. We're obviously this is an exciting time of year for us as we just finished our second official practice, and basketball season is upon us, and I think our team, our staff, everybody within our program is pretty excited, and we hope to put a pretty good product out on the floor.
30,000-foot view, 2 days into practice. What have you seen?
We got a long way to go. No, we started off the season. We talked about we got right now we're just a bunch of pieces, and I think the challenge for not only us but anybody, are you able to put those pieces together and become a team? Because there's got to be a lot of individual sacrifice from everybody involved. Like when you're in a team sport, there's nobody going to get to all the shots they want. Nobody's going to get all the playing time, all the recognition, all those things. Are you willing to sacrifice to do your job? And our job at this level is to win. And I think that can get, missed in today's world with all the individual things that are going on. Like at the end of the day, your job is to win. Coaches, players, administrators, everybody that's involved in your program, your job is to win games. And so, are you able to put those pieces together to accomplish those goals? And I like the pieces that we have now. Are we able to fit them together and make the sacrifices it takes? Are we going to be mentally tough enough? Are we going to be disciplined enough? Are we, all the things that it takes to win games? Like and it's just like I talked to him at the end of this practice. We've done situations earlier than I've ever done in my career. We did a situation yesterday, a situation today, and we got a lot of teaching to do. The guys in our program, they should know, how to execute end of game things. But some of these new guys, like, how we're doing things with the game on the line, like whether it's practice or a game, like is glaring right now. So we have some work to do just to teach situations. But like I told them, that's why we're doing them now. So, we don't take a loss because we didn't understand what it took to do to win a certain game. And so we're trying to get those things in now, which I think will benefit us later on. But some of the mistakes are very glaring. But until they're trained, that's on us. So that's us as a coaching staff to be able to take those opportunities to teach. Our guys have to be able to learn and comprehend, and then we got to go out and eventually execute.
How do you mix that natural athleticism some of these guys have with those teaching moments to make sure that they're, yes, still being who they are, but at the same time fitting what they need to do at the collegiate level?
Yeah, we talk all off season. It's about your development, your individual. What do you want to try to become, and try to help you get there and work on your skills. And we take a lot of pride in our player development. Well, now it's time to win, and so those things have to take a back seat. Now, you got to use all those things that you've worked on, summer and fall, to hopefully get your guys better to where now those pieces are better and you can do different things. And I like our overall ability. I think we got some guys that have some real ability. Now, again, going back to, are you going to be able to execute in stressful situations, the way that you need to execute to win? I think that's going to be the biggest challenge. So, I'm pleased. We're 2 days in. I'm pleased with the work that we've gotten done. And we've tried to put them in some stressful situations to bring out mistakes, because I'd rather bring them out now where we can show them on film and talk about them, fix them, drill them, than taking a loss or two and then having that old blank moment where you got to go back and why haven't we covered this? So I like our plan as far as how we're progressing in practice and the things that we're going to be throwing at them here in the next couple of weeks as we prepare for our season.
Coach Michael Lewis joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Basketball season just a month and a half away before November 4th tip-off down in Georgia for the MAC Sun Belt Challenge. Coach, you get to bring back Peyton Sparks, played a couple of years here at Ball State, transfers Indiana, comes back. What have you seen from him so far in his return?
Well, I think he's very comfortable with our program. I think he's comfortable with who he is here. He's obviously he's a very good player at our level, but it's who he is as a person is why we welcomed him back, and so excited to have him. You walk in and see an all-conference player in your gym every day, kind of as a coach, it makes you breathe a little easier. But, I've talked about it while he was here. I talked about it when he transferred. I've talked about it when he comes back. As good as he is as a player, he's the most valuable to our program because of who he is on this campus, in this community, because of the type of person and student-athlete that he is.
Jerry transfers into the program. How has he started to fit the mold?
He's getting better and better. I think he's learning how we operate here, what our expectations are, the level of accountability in our program here, and he's adjusting very well. He's got a pretty good feel for the game. Now he has some habits that we're working to correct that I think he's beginning to understand we're not going to let up on, and it's to help him become the player that he has expressed that he desires to be, and so and why he came here. And so but he has a lot of ability as a basketball player. Offensively, he has all the physical tools to do it on the other end. It's got to become a mentality for him to do that and become a complete player. But I like what I have seen so far and where I think he can be by season and then ultimately by the end of the season.
Another transfer, Wansi from Portland. How has he been able to settle into a role at Ball State? He's
been good. He's a fun guy to be around. Obviously he's got a little accent and he has he's been in the States for a few years, so speaks very good English. But when he gets excited, he can get to going a little bit. But no, I think he understands. You can just tell like he's from South America, but it's kind of the FIBA basketball upbringing. He's played in pick and rolls his entire life. He reads things very well. He's a very good passer, excellent shooter. He can do a lot of things that can help you offensively.
How about Fat Hill? He comes in and everybody's been able to see the athleticism kind of jump off the page with him.
He's a dynamic basketball player. He just, he's got, some natural things that you just can't teach, again, is adjusting to how we go about things. It's been, a very smooth transition. He has a lot of ability that can put stress on defense. Trying to get him to understand and read things quicker, read the defense instead of just putting his head down and going, because for his entire career he's been able to just do that. And, he's going to be playing against better players, and but he has a ton of ability. And, like I say, very, like you've seen it, a dynamic athlete. And we just got to continue to grow his skill level because he's got a chance to be a very good player.
You're going to see Ethan Britton Watts play in a Cardinals uniform this year for the first time. What has he done throughout all of the rehab process to get ready for this year and put himself in a position to help this team?
Well, I'm just really proud of how he attacked his rehab. He had a very unfortunate injury last year, very unfortunate care. And I think he just attacked, his rehab very well, and has been very patient. I know he's been itching to get back and to compete and to feel healthy. I think he feels healthy, and he's just an older guy. I mean, this is his 6th year of college, so even though he didn't play last year, you got to watch, and I think that was very beneficial, to him. He's just a very steadying force, and for us, I think he can provide some athleticism defensively. He can get into the basketball and do some different things. He can knock in an open shot. Just, he's played a lot of college basketball, so that experience, you can't ever replicate that. You got to go through it, and we've talked about that before. But no, he's been very steady for us.
How are you seeing the depth start to take place a little bit with this team?
Well, there's competition, which is good. The depth can allow you when guys kind of get off kilter a little bit. But I think we can play a little bit different. I want to play faster. Can we take care of the ball well enough to do that? Can we provide, put some more pressure on teams from a defensive standpoint? We just our overall lack of athleticism, especially on the perimeter last year, was very frustrating for me. Especially on the defensive end. And then, it limits what you can do offensively. But it was just just not being able to defend the way that you have to defend to win, was very bothersome. I think we fixed some of those issues from an athleticism standpoint on our perimeter. And we got to be able to, now we just got to be, fundamentally sound to cause some problems on that end.
So that athleticism on the perimeter was something you guys wanted to go full force in the portal and recruiting?
Absolutely. If you watched us last year, there's a lot of different things that went on to contribute to what we were last year. But the bottom line is, if you watched us from the first year, we struggled keeping the ball in front of us. We struggled defensively, couldn't put pressure on guys. And then on the offensive end, we couldn't get by guys, couldn't get downhill. Really struggled to put pressure on teams on both ends of the floor, which is exactly how I feel. What you have to do over 40 minutes to ultimately win, which is what our jobs are. So I think we've addressed those issues through recruiting. Like I said, the pieces that we have, I'm very comfortable with. Now, what they end up becoming, that's the beauty of going through a season. But what we have here has been fun to work with all summer and fall. It's just now when it's time to win, are we able to put our individual goals aside and try to do everything it takes to go out there and try to win games for Ball State?
Head Coach Michael Lewis joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports, previewing the men's basketball season. Coach, there's a couple of new faces on the coaching staff as well, in addition to all the players on the court. How are you seeing that staff come together the last couple of months?
It's been good. I think Buzzy Carruthers and Justin Brown, two guys that are experienced, that have the ability to not only coach on the floor but recruit. I think they're strong recruiters. Already seeing some benefits from both of them in that front, and also very good with the guys. And so I like those two additions. Obviously very appreciative of Jamal's and BC's work here at Ball State and helping us get this program back moving in the right direction. But excited with where we are from a personnel standpoint. Also with a new trainer, strength and conditioning coach, 2 more positions where I feel like we're positioned to kind of handle things the way that we need to handle them, which I think leads to ultimately winning.
Hey, Coach Lewis, we appreciate your time. We're 40 days away. How does that sound?
Well, it's like I said, it's exciting. I mean, like this is, talking to the players, like, day 1's easy. Like day 2 was a little harder, and tomorrow's going to be even more so, and then they'll have an off day. But like, this is what you've chosen to do. Like this, you should be excited about this, and you get an opportunity to step in the gym and work with young people every day. It's pretty exciting.
I appreciate you, Coach. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to This Week in Ball State Sports, presented by Gainbridge. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gainbridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network.